Alright, hey guys, I'm Ariel Rose. Welcome back to my channel. And this is gonna be a kind of tragic story time. So get your tea and let's get into this. So I was checking my analytics and I see that a lot of y'all watching my videos are not subscribers. So let's take a moment, let's pause, let's hit that subscribe button right there. All right, and let's get into this story time. I was really hoping this was not going to be a story time. I was hoping to have a super smooth process where I found a crash pad that totally worked out for me. I can maybe live there for a couple of months. That was not the case. So I had not went to my crash pad until the day before my first day on reserve, which is today. So I'm telling y'all this story real fresh. I had to put it on camera really quickly because I needed y'all to feel everything that I felt. So I got put on 4 a.m. reserve and they called me at 4 a.m. on the dot to report. But I came into town, I had a long flight. I hadn't been to my crash pad yet. I was gonna go to my crash pad for the first time. It's kind of hard not having a car in Chicago. If you're on the train, it works, but the house isn't. And so I'm having to lift from the airport to the house all the time. I needed to get bedding and whatnot. When it's a crash pad, you know, you kind of make it your own space. So you have to, at least there, you have to provide your own bedding, your own, you know, toiletries and things like that, which I didn't think anything crazy of. But I knew I had to take my lift from the airport to the crash pad, and then I was gonna do like a round trip run to Walmart, grab some things, and come back. You know, I was thinking about staying in a hotel that night, and long story short, I did end up staying in a hotel that night, but it wasn't necessarily by choice at that point. So this is what had happened. I get to the house, and this is, I guess, nothing to do with them, but it's super dark. The street is really dark. My lift had driven me a little bit past the house, and so we had to, you know, do some figuring out, trying to read the house numbers, and it's the only house on the block that has words written out for the numbers instead of actual numbers, if you know what I'm saying. I find it. There is a side door for me to enter. So let me backstory real quick. I would not just go blindly into a crash pad. So let me tell y'all how I even came across it and how it even seemed possible. So one of my classmates actually found this crash pad. So her, another classmate, coworker, and myself, the three of us, were all planning to stay here. I don't know what they're gonna end up choosing to do. I am not staying there, and that's that on that. We had, one of them had found it. They sent me a video of it that like the house owner had sent that looked decent, but I wasn't sure about it even when I saw that video. She ended up actually going there herself and going through the house. She FaceTimed me while she was at the house. She said it seemed decent and all that good stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll go with it, because we were all gonna be able to be in the same room. If you know how crash pads are, it can be like, it's typically like bunk beds in a room. And so I didn't necessarily want to be with a bunch of strangers. The fact that I knew I was going to be with other classmates made me feel more comfortable. That's why we chose to do this together. Mind you, the price for it was great. I would probably end up spending quite a bit in lifts, because you know, like lifts are always surcharged to the airport. You know what, it'll work for at least a month, and then I'll see what else, you know, I can find, because I really want to be on the train. In Chicago, it's kind of like Atlanta. I'm from Atlanta, and the train goes directly into the airport just like Atlanta does. So really at this point, I'm especially trying to find a place that's off the train. Anyways, I get to the house. She gave me the key number to get into the door. I get into the door, And as soon as you walk in, I'm gonna try to paint a picture for y'all, okay? Stick with me. When I walk in, it's a split level house. So there is stairs going down and stairs going up, but there's also a den that is to my left. There's curtains up. There's like 6 bunk beds in there. I'm like, not really thinking anything quite of it yet. I go upstairs and there are 3 bedrooms upstairs and another den living room space with another curtain up with what? Three more bunk beds, so 6 more beds. I was told and saw a video of 3 bedrooms, period. 3 bedrooms, period, with 2 bunk beds in each one, which would make it what, a total of what's 4 times 3? 12. Which would make it a total of 12 beds, 12 people, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Doable. When you think about airlines, working reserve, even people working lines, there might never be a time when all of us were in the home. So that I was like, okay, I can work with. But that was not the case. What I was told was not it whatsoever. There ended up being 3 bedrooms and 2 den spaces for a total of 24 beds in the house. Not what I was expecting at all. So the way that she wanted to word, I say she, this is the Crashpad owner, manager, whatever. The way that she made it seem was that it was 3 bedrooms. What she really meant, I suppose, is that there were 3 bedrooms with airline staff or airline crew in them. So in the other rooms, it's seriously just random people. It's not crew members. I don't know what they do. One girl that actually was there was actually a flight attendant, and she was kind of helping me that night before I left. And you know, there were some guys in the house, and that's not really my issue because I know there's like unisex crash pads, but I was asking, I was like, does he work for the airline? And she was like, no, he doesn't work at all. And so then she was like telling me where some of the other people work, and the bottom line was less than half of the people that were staying at that house were actually crew members. And it just, in that moment, I was like, I just don't feel safe here because I don't know these people. I don't know their backgrounds. I don't know anything. So anyways, let me backtrack, because before I even asked her about that, I couldn't even get into my room. So for the actual 3 bedrooms that were for crew members, you could lock them. They were actual rooms. The dens weren't rooms. They were makeshift rooms that were made and had curtains on them. But the actual rooms, you could use a key and lock it. So the room that was assigned to me was actually locked, and I had no access to the key or a way to get into the room when I had already paid my rent and whatever else. So the other girl that I had mentioned before, let's call her Sky. Let's call her Sky. Sky helped me. She was messaging some other people that I guess lived in the house or managers, I'm not sure. There was another area with additional keys, and so she was able to get the PIN code to that to get me the key so I could finally get into the room. That within itself maybe took 20 minutes after me getting there, after a long flight, after the house not being at all what I thought it was, after seeing strangers, and after just seeing it filthy. Like, it was anyways. So I finally opened the door and the room is so disgusting. It is filthy. It just, I'm gonna post a picture here and here. I don't know what's going on in this house. Truly, I truly don't know what's going on. The 3 of us, there was gonna be one other person staying in our room that she did notify us of, that did apparently work for a airline, was some type of crew member, or I don't know, maybe airport staff. I was supposed to have Me and one of the other girls were supposed to have 2 top bunks, and another one of the women was gonna have the other lower bunk. Do y'all see this? There was trash, debris, leftover comforters, just, I don't know what it was. And y'all, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, like when I walked in there and I saw that room after just the whole day, I walked in and I just walked out. I went to the bathroom and shed like 4 tears because I'm like, what in the world is going on? Like, where am I? What's happening? Is this a prank? Like, it was just, I was so like, what in the world is going on? I was the first one out of the 3 of us to get there. So, which my classmate that went and looked at the house, I think she said she only looked in our room or something like that. And at that time, I think other people were staying there. So maybe they had it clean. For it to get to the point that it was at when I walked in there, I truly don't know, and I don't understand. And I don't know how a house manager or someone that owns a crash pad would allow a new resident to come into the house and it looked like that. Like, why would you not check the room before I was moving in? Because you knew when I was moving in, because I gave you my rent and told you I was gonna come in for May 1st. So that happened. When I finally came out the bathroom, I went back into the room. And Sky was such a sweet girl. She had went and got like a trash bag and was trying to take the little filth off of one of the beds to clear it for me. And I was like, you're so sweet. You do not have to do that. I'm just not gonna stay here. And she tells me it was disgusting when she got here, that she feels like she has to deep clean the shower every time before she goes in there, that, her room wasn't that bad, but the kitchen and other places were dirty before she got there. And I just don't want to live that life. I've never lived like that in my born life. And that's something my grandma used to say, in my born life. And I was like, this is just not gonna work. It's not gonna work. I texted her immediately. I took pictures, and I told her I was gonna need a refund and that I was not gonna be staying there tonight, and that this is unacceptable, and that I was not staying there and I needed a refund. Because at the end of the day, I needed my money back, and I did get it back. But it was just the most absurd thing to go through. I was just like, where am I? I felt like I was in a Twilight Zone, like for real. So I get on my phone, I book a room, I call a Lyft, and I'm like, I'm just getting out of here, because there's no way that I'm spending another minute in this house. I'm talking to Sky in the meantime, and she's telling me how she's only gonna be there for a month. She didn't know it looked like that either. She was also told that it was 3 bedrooms. She worked for a different airline, and she said she found it within their airline's, I think, Facebook page message. So really, y'all, like, do as much due diligence as possible when it comes to this whole crash pad thing. What I am going to try to accomplish this month, and I will let y'all know how it goes, is doing hotels for the month. I was never a huge crash pad person. I'm not even gonna lie. I succumbed to I was like, you know what, maybe I'll do it. I was looking at hotel crash pads. I'll do a separate video on hot beds and cold beds, because that's like a crash pad terminology. I didn't want a hot bed, I wanted a cold bed, and so that's why I ended up going with the house as opposed to a hotel crash pad that I was looking at. But at this point, I feel like a hotel crash pad would be cleaner. I would feel safer. I know that I would have airport shuttle available to me. So that's something I am going to look into again. But like I said, for this month, I'm going to try out the hotels, and I'll let y'all know how it goes. There are like special corporate and crew member rates that we have. I have status with multiple hotel branches, and so I have points and things like that. That is what I'm gonna utilize for this month. Even when I was in training, there was a gentleman in training, I think he was getting retrained. He had much more seniority, than I did. And one day I was just, asking him some questions. He was very, very willing to help and answer whatever questions. And even he said, these are his words. He was like, crash pads are disgusting. And I don't think all crash pads probably are. I am sure there are some nice ones out there. I just didn't have that experience. And that's just... His words were, crash pads are disgusting. Just try to work as much as you can. At least you know when you're working, you're going to be in a clean hotel room. And he's absolutely right. And even when he said it, I was like, yeah, you know what? Actually, that makes sense. I know I'm going to have a room to myself, that the airline is going to put me somewhere safe and somewhere clean. And if they didn't, I could put in a report and they would make sure that that wouldn't happen again. Long story short, and I stayed in a hotel room last night, used some points to book that, and that's that on that. I got called at exactly 4 a.m. while I'm on 4 a.m. reserve for a 2-day trip. So I have my trip today and my trip tomorrow. I will be back on reserve tomorrow when I get back to the airport, because I have the first flight of the day and it's only one leg. So I'm gonna be back in the airport, like, I don't even know if it's gonna be like 7 a.m. It's gonna be super early. Like, my first flight's so early. Y'all, my van time doesn't even make sense. Anyways, this is the life I chose though, so whatever. I'm just hoping I changed some settings in my scheduling so that I can be more at the top of the list to get called. So I'm just hoping that when I get back on reserve tomorrow, because I'll be on ready reserve, I'll be staying in the airport, and so I think I'll be more likely than if I was just regular reserve and I was at home. But I'm new, I'm learning along with you guys, so I'll let y'all know how it goes. But I think it's likely that I will get called for another trip tomorrow, and if not, I'm gonna go back to my hotel and hopefully I get called out on a trip on, what's today? Well, the next day. I felt slightly traumatized. Like, and I'm so not trying to be dramatic. It was just so much series of unfortunate events that it was like, what's really going on? I messaged the manager of the Crashpad that night, and I didn't hear back from her until after I landed from my trip this morning. And like I mentioned before, she did give me a full refund and tried to like say some things that made it seem like I didn't know my information when I was fed misinformation. And so yeah, I'm happy that I'm like, there's really no way she couldn't have given me my money back, because there was no way you expected me to stay in that house in the condition it was in. There's no way, and on God's green earth. So I guess all in all, it was just a real learning experience. I'm not even mad about it anymore. I'm not laughing about it yet. Like, I'm not laughing about it yet. It was an experience. You know, I just, the end all of it is I did not feel safe, and it was not clean. It's not even that I don't want to stay in crash pads. It's not even that I don't want to live in Chicago. It's not none of that. I just want to be in a place that is clean and I feel safe in, and I don't think that's too much to ask for. And so since I did not feel like that was going to be available to me at that home, then I felt that I had to leave, and that's exactly what I did. If you get based in Chicago, or you're looking at crash pads in Chicago and you want to know what property this was, you can shoot me a DM on Instagram and I'll share it with you. I'm not just gonna put them like on crazy blast here, but it was a mess. It was a mess, and it probably, I don't know if it could have been worse, because I was like, it probably could have been worse, but I really don't know. I really don't know if it could have been worse. Like, y'all, I was in shock. Like, I wish I had a camera on my face when I opened the door, because I was like, this can't be real. Anyways, that's my crash pad horror story, and I hope you don't have one. I'm gonna try, like I said, I'm gonna try hotels for the month, see what it charges me. My most crash pads that I've been looking at were between $250 and $350 a month. I feel as though with the discounts and corporate codes and things that I have, points, You know, even credit card spending that I'll even amp up and like use my credit card instead of like my debit card in order to get the points, you know, and like travel hack and stuff like that, in order to allot myself the same amount. Because the real deal is I don't plan on being in Chicago too much. Whenever I'm not on the schedule, I'm gonna go home. Like, I'm gonna go home, or I'm gonna go on a trip. Like, at least in the very beginning, I plan on traveling a lot. Y'all know me. I travel all the time already. So, like, whenever I'm not on the schedule, I'm out. So, it's like, I really just need a place. If I get called on reserve often, I really just need a place just a few nights out of maybe like a week's worth of nights out of the month if I get called regularly in while I'm on reserve. So, and I'm gonna pick up shifts. So even if they don't call me, I'll pick something up. So again, thank you for listening. It was supposed to be a long story made short. Don't know if it was, but thanks for listening. Do not let this discourage you. I've been very upbeat in all of my other videos. So yeah, I guess something had to happen. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all like in the next video. Bye, y'all.